Jake Miller stood in the bright lights of the convenience store at 2 in the morning. His baby daughter Lily cried in his arms. She was 6 months old and needed a diaper change badly. Jake looked at his wallet again. He had $4.73. That was all the money he had until next Friday when he got paid from his night cleaning job. The diapers on the shelf cost $4.69. Jake did the math in his head. With tax it would be more than he had. But Lily needed these diapers. She was crying louder now and other people in the store were looking at them. Behind him in line stood a woman in an expensive black coat. She had dark hair pulled back and looked tired. Her name was Alexandra Brooks, but everyone called her Alex. She owned Brooks Industries, a big company that made things for the military. She was here buying energy drinks because she could not sleep. Again, Alex had been working on something important for the government. Strange signals were coming from space. Radio signals that did not make sense. The military wanted her company to build new equipment. Equipment that might help if those signals meant trouble. But right now Alex was just tired. She wanted to buy her drinks and go back to her empty house. Then she heard the baby crying. She looked at the man holding the child. He was young, maybe 25. His clothes were old but clean. He had dark circles under his eyes from being tired. The baby wore a pink outfit that was too small for her. Jake reached the counter. The cashier was a teenager who looked bored. Jake put the diapers on the counter. Then he pulled out his money, 4 crumpled dollar bills and some coins. That will be $5.07 with tax, the cashier said. Jake counted his coins again. Quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies. He counted twice. Still not enough. The baby cried louder. "I am sorry," Jake said. "I thought I had enough." He looked at the cashier. "Can you take the tax off?" The cashier shook his head. "I cannot do that, man, sorry." Jake felt his face get red. People behind him were getting upset. Someone made a noise like they were annoyed. Jake looked at his crying daughter. She needed these diapers. He needed to figure something out. "Let me try my card," Jake said. He pulled out a debit card that he knew was empty. Maybe the bank made a mistake. Maybe there was $1 he forgot about. The cashier ran the card. It beeped. "Declined," he said. Jake felt sick. Lily cried harder. He had to do something. Maybe he could ask his neighbor, Mrs. Garcia, for help. But it was 2 in the morning. Maybe he could use cloth rags until Friday. But Lily needed proper diapers. "I will pay for it." Jake turned around. The woman in the expensive coat was standing right behind him. She had her credit card ready. "What?" Jake said. "I will pay for the diapers," Alex said. "And get some formula too. And baby food. She looks hungry." Jake stared at her. "I cannot let you do that." "Yes, you can," Alex said. She looked at the cashier. "Add 2 cans of formula. The good kind, and some baby food. The fruits and vegetables." The cashier looked confused, but he started scanning items. Alex handed him her credit card without looking at the total. "Why are you doing this?" Jake asked. Alex looked at the baby. Lily had stopped crying and was looking at her with big blue eyes. "Because someone should," the cashier finished. "Total is $42.18. Jake felt dizzy. That was almost a full day of work for him. "I cannot accept this. This is too much." "It is done," Alex said. She signed the receipt. "You need help. Your daughter needs help. There's nothing wrong with accepting help." Jake felt tears in his eyes. No one had helped him like this since Lily was born. Her mother had left when she was 2 weeks old. Said she was too young to be a mother. Jake had been doing everything alone since then. Working nights, taking care of Lily during the day, sleeping when he could. "Thank you," Jake said. "I will pay you back." Alex looked at him carefully. "What is your name?" "Jake Miller." "I am Alex Brooks." She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "Call me tomorrow. I might have some work for you." Jake looked at the card. Brooks Industries. He had heard of that company. They were big, important. "What kind of work?" "Maintenance, cleaning, security." "You look like someone who works hard." Jake nodded. "I do work hard." "Good." Alex picked up her energy drinks. "Call me tomorrow, Jake Miller. And take care of your daughter." She walked out of the store. Jake watched her get into a black car that probably cost more than he made in 2 years. The cashier handed Jake his bag. Inside were diapers, formula, baby food, even some toys he had not seen Alex add to the order. Jake walked to his old truck. He put Lily in her car seat and changed her diaper right there in the parking lot. She stopped crying immediately and smiled at him. That was the first time she had smiled in 2 days. As Jake drove home to his small apartment, he thought about the woman who helped him. Alex Brooks. He looked at her business card again. Tomorrow he would call her. He had nothing to lose and everything to gain. What Jake did not know was that Alex Brooks was thinking about him too. She sat in her big house looking at her phone. She thought about calling her assistant to run a background check on Jake Miller. But something stopped her. Maybe she wanted to trust someone for once. Alex had been alone for a long time. Her company was successful, but she had no real friends. No family. Just employees who wanted her money and business partners who wanted her contracts. But something about Jake Miller felt different. The way he held his daughter. The way he tried to solve his problems himself before asking for help. The way he said thank you like he really meant it. Maybe helping him would help her too. Maybe they both needed something the other could give. Outside Alex's house, the stars were bright. Among them, signals traveled through space. Signals that would change everything. But tonight, two strangers had helped each other, and sometimes that is how the most important things begin. 3 days later, Jake Miller sat in his small apartment looking at Alex Brooks's business card. Lily was sleeping in her crib. The formula Alex bought was almost gone. The diapers would last another week if he was careful. Jake had never asked anyone for help before. His father taught him to work hard and take care of himself. But his father never had to raise a baby alone. His father never worked 2 jobs and still could not pay the bills. Jake picked up his phone. He put it down. He picked it up again. Finally, he dialed the number on the card. Brooks Industries, this is Carol, a woman answered. I need to speak to Alex Brooks, Jake said. She told me to call. Can I ask who is calling? Jake Miller. She gave me her card 3 nights ago. There was a pause. Hold, please. Jake waited. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe she did not really mean it. Rich people probably said things like that all the time. Jake? Alex's voice came on the line. Yes, this is Jake Miller. From the store, I remember. Are you and your daughter okay? We are fine. The formula you bought is really good. Lily likes it. Good. Do you need more? Jake took a deep breath. You said you might have work for me. I do. Can you come in tomorrow morning? Around 9? I work nights. I could come in at 10 if that is okay. 10 is fine. Do you have the address? It is on your card. Good. Ask for me at the front desk. And Jake? Yes? Bring your daughter if you need to. We can figure out childcare. Jake felt relief wash over him. Thank you. See you tomorrow. The next morning, Jake put on his best clothes. They were old but clean. He put Lily in her car seat and drove across town to Brooks Industries. The building was huge. Glass and steel reaching up to the sky. Jake had never been inside a place like this. Security guards, marble floors, people in expensive suits walking fast and talking on phones. I am here to see Alex Brooks, Jake told the woman at the front desk. She looked at him and then at Lily. Name? Jake Miller. She made a phone call. A few minutes later, Alex came down. She was wearing a dark blue suit that probably cost more than Jake made in a month. But when she saw Lily, she smiled. She got big, Alex said. Babies do that, Jake said. Come on up. We can talk in my office. They rode the elevator to the 20th floor. Alex's office had windows that looked out over the whole city. Her desk was bigger than Jake's kitchen table. Sit down, Alex said. Can I hold her? Jake was surprised. Sure, Alex took Lily carefully. The baby looked at her with curious eyes. She is beautiful, Alex said. She looks like you. Everyone says that. Alex sat behind her desk, still holding Lily. Tell me about yourself, Jake. What do you want to know? Everything. Where you are from. What you did before. Why you are raising her alone. Jake told her his story. He grew up in a small town. Joined the army when he was 18. Served 2 tours overseas. Got hurt in an accident and came home. Met a girl named Lisa. They had Lily. Lisa left when the baby was 2 weeks old. What kind of work did you do in the army? Alex asked. Security. Logistics. Making sure the right supplies got to the right places. Making sure our people were safe, Alex nodded. What do you do now? I clean offices at night. 4 buildings downtown. I work from 11 at night until 7 in the morning. How much do they pay you? Jake told her. Alex did not change her expression, but Jake saw something in her eyes. I can offer you something better, Alex said. Building maintenance here. Day shift. Better pay. Health insurance for you and Lily. What would I have to do? Keep our facilities secure and clean. Some of what we do here is important. Government contracts. I need people I can trust. Jake looked around the office. Why do you trust me? You do not know me. Alex was quiet for a moment. She looked down at Lily, who had fallen asleep in her arms. Because you spent your last $4 on diapers for your daughter, Alex said. Because you tried to solve your problem yourself before asking for help. Because when someone offered to help you, you said thank you like you meant it. That does not mean I am trustworthy. It means you are a good father. Good fathers usually make good employees. Jake thought about it. Better pay. Health insurance. Day shift so he could sleep at night. When would I start? Monday if you want. I want to. Alex smiled. Good. She handed Lily back to Jake. There is something else you should know. What? Some of the work we do here is classified. Government secrets. If you take this job, you will have to sign papers saying you will not talk about what you see. What kind of secrets? Alex walked to her window. She looked up at the sky. Jake, do you believe there is life on other planets? I never thought about it much, maybe. 3 weeks ago, we started receiving radio signals from space. Signals that are not natural. Signals that seem to be made by intelligent beings. Jake stared at her. Aliens? Maybe. The government is trying to figure out what the signals mean. They want us to build equipment that might help communicate with whoever is sending them. Why are you telling me this? Alex turned back to him. Because if you work here, you will see things. Equipment being built. Government people coming and going. I would rather tell you the truth now than have you figure it out later. Jake looked at Lily sleeping in his arms. Are they dangerous? These aliens? We do not know yet. That is what we are trying to find out. Jake was quiet for a long time. Finally he said, when do I start? Alex smiled again. Monday morning, 8 o'clock. Carol at the front desk will get you set up with security clearance and paperwork. She walked him to the elevator. As the doors opened, she said, Jake, yes? Thank you for calling. Thank you for answering. That weekend, Jake gave notice to his cleaning company. He bought new work clothes with money Alex had advanced him. He set up a crib in his bedroom for Lily. On Sunday night, he could not sleep. Tomorrow, he would start a new job. A better job? Maybe his life was finally getting better. What Jake did not know was that Alex could not sleep either. She was thinking about the signals from space. They were getting stronger, more frequent, and they were getting closer. She was also thinking about Jake Miller. There was something about him that made her feel less alone. Maybe it was the way he looked at his daughter. Maybe it was the way he worked hard without complaining. Maybe it was just that he treated her like a normal person instead of a rich boss. Alex had not felt this way in a long time. She had forgotten what it was like to care about someone besides herself. Outside their windows, the stars shone bright. Among them, something was moving closer to Earth. Something that would change both their lives forever. But for now, they were both just trying to sleep before Monday morning. Just two people who had found each other by accident and were starting to realize they might need each other more than they knew. Jake Miller was changing Lily's diaper when every television, radio, and phone in the world began broadcasting the same message. People of Earth, the voice said in perfect English. We are the hierarchy. We come in peace. Jake ran to his living room television. The screen showed a tall figure in a silver suit. It looked almost human, but not quite. The face was too smooth, the eyes too large, the movements too precise. We have been observing your species for many cycles. The alien continued. You have shown promise. You have developed technology. You have begun to explore space. You are ready for the next phase of your development. Jake's phone rang. It was Alex. Are you watching this? She said without saying hello. Yes, this is it, is it not? This is it. Can you get to the office? On my way. Jake grabbed Lily and her diaper bag. As he drove through the city, he saw people standing in the streets looking up at the sky. Some looked excited. Some looked scared. Most just looked confused. At Brooks Industries, the building was buzzing with activity. Government cars filled the parking lot. People were running in and out carrying equipment and files. Jake took Lily to the daycare and then went to Alex's office. She was standing at her window with several government officials. On her desk were 3 phones, all ringing at once. Jake, good, Alex said when she saw him. We need to go downstairs. They rode the elevator to the basement. The door that used to be locked was now open. Inside was a room full of computer screens, communication equipment, and people Jake had never seen before. "This is our communication center," Alex explained. "We have been monitoring the alien signals for weeks. We knew this was coming." On the screens, Jake could see the alien message being broadcast around the world, but there were other screens showing different information. "Numbers, charts, analysis of the alien broadcast. What are those?" Jake asked, pointing to the other screens. "The real message," Alex said grimly. A woman in a military uniform approached them. "The public broadcast is just the introduction. They have been sending detailed messages to world governments for the past hour." "What do the detailed messages say?" Jake asked. The woman handed him a folder. "Read it yourself." Jake opened the folder. The first page was titled Integration Proposal for Earth Species Classification 7A, Humans. As Jake read, his blood ran cold. The hierarchy was not offering friendship. They were offering management. According to their proposal, humans would be relocated to designated areas for optimal resource utilization. Children would be educated in appropriate behavioral norms. Adults would be assigned work based on species capabilities. "This sounds like slavery," Jake said. "Because it is," Alex replied. "They are just using nice words." Jake kept reading. The hierarchy had done this before. Hundreds of other worlds, dozens of other species, all now part of their galactic community, all now serving the greater good as defined by the hierarchy. "What happens if we say no?" Jake asked. The military woman answered. "They say resistance would be unfortunate but manageable." "Manageable?" "They have superior technology and superior numbers. They estimate they could pacify Earth within 6 local time units." 6 months, Alex translated. Jake felt sick. How many governments have agreed to this? 12 so far, including 3 major powers. Why would they agree? Alex showed him another folder. Because the hierarchy is offering gifts to cooperative governments. Advanced technology, extended lifespans for leaders, positions of authority in the new system. Jake understood. Some people are willing to sell out their own species. Some people always are. The next few hours were chaotic. Jake watched as world leaders gave speeches accepting or rejecting the hierarchy's offer. He saw crowds celebrating in some cities and rioting in others. He saw families trying to flee to the countryside as if distance would protect them from aliens who could cross the galaxy. By evening, the count was clear. 26 governments had accepted the hierarchy's terms. 15 had rejected them. The rest were still deciding. "What about the United States?" Jake asked. Alex looked tired. "Our government is divided. The president wants to reject the offer. Congress is split. The military is preparing for both possibilities. What are we doing? We are getting ready to fight." That night, Jake could not sleep. He kept checking on Lily in her crib. She looked so small and helpless. How could he protect her from aliens who could travel between stars? His phone rang at 3 a.m. It was Alex. "Turn on the news," she said. Jake turned on his television. A news reporter was speaking urgently. "We are receiving reports that alien ships have appeared over major cities worldwide. The ships are not hostile, but they are massive. Each ship is estimated to be over 5 miles long." Jake went to his window. In the distance, hanging over the city like a dark cloud, was an alien ship. It was silent and motionless, but its presence changed everything. The city below looked tiny and fragile. His phone rang again. "Jake, I need you to come in now," Alex said. "Bring Lily. It is not safe for either of you to be alone." "What is happening?" Phase 2. They are making their presence known. Tomorrow they will begin landing parties to start the integration process in countries that accepted their offer. And the countries that rejected the offer, they will be given one more chance to reconsider. Jake packed quickly. As he drove through the empty streets toward Brooks Industries, he passed military vehicles heading in the opposite direction. Tanks, trucks full of soldiers, mobile missile launchers. The government was positioning forces around the city. At Brooks Industries, Jake found dozens of people in the building. Families with children, government workers, military personnel. Alex had turned the building into a safe house. "How long do we have?" Jake asked Alex. "Maybe a week, maybe less." Jake looked around at all the people, men and women who had chosen to resist. Parents who wanted their children to grow up free. Soldiers who understood that some things were worth dying for. "Are we going to win?" Alex was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know, but we are going to try." Jake nodded. What do you need me to do? Help coordinate our people. We have contacts all over the country. People who are ready to resist. We need someone to organize them. I am not a general. You do not need to be a general. You need to be what you already are. What is that? Alex looked at Lily sleeping in Jake's arms. A father who will do anything to protect his child. That is what we all need to be now. Outside the windows of Brooks Industries, the alien ship hung in the sky like a promise of slavery disguised as salvation. But inside the building, humans were preparing to fight for something the aliens would never understand. They were preparing to fight for the right to be free, even if freedom meant they might lose everything. Jake Miller had been working at Brooks Industries for 2 weeks. Every morning he checked the building's security systems, made sure all the doors locked properly, and kept the facilities clean. It was good work and he was good at it, but Jake noticed things were changing. New security cameras appeared overnight. Motion sensors were installed in hallways that never had them before. Men in dark suits visited Alex's office every few days. They carried briefcases and looked serious. Jake also noticed that parts of the building were now off limits to him. The basement had 3 new locks on the door. The 20th floor, where Alex's office was, now required special badges to access. Even some supply closets were locked. What is going on? Jake asked Alex one afternoon. They were in her office. Lily was sitting on the floor playing with blocks that Alex had bought for her. I told you we have government contracts, Alex said. This seems like more than contracts. Alex looked at him carefully. You are observant. I was trained to be observant. In the army? Yes. When you are responsible for keeping people safe, you notice when things change. Alex sat down on the floor next to Lily. The baby crawled over to her and pulled herself up using Alex's leg. The signals from space are getting stronger, Alex said, and they are getting organized. What do you mean organized? At first they seemed random, like someone testing equipment. Now they seem purposeful, like someone is trying to communicate. Jake sat down on the floor too. Have you figured out what they are saying? Some of it. Mostly numbers. Mathematical formulas, things that prove the senders are intelligent. And? Alex picked up Lily and held her. And yesterday we received our first message that we could understand. What did it say? Alex was quiet for a moment. Hello? Jake felt a chill run down his back. They said hello? In 17 different languages, including some that died out hundreds of years ago. How do they know our languages? That is what scares everyone. They have been watching us, learning about us, maybe for a long time. Jake looked around Alex's office. Through the window, he could see the city below. Normal people doing normal things, going to work, taking their kids to school, living their lives. Do they know about this? Jake asked, pointing to the city. No, the government wants to keep it secret until we know more. What does the government think? Alex put Lily back on the floor. The baby immediately crawled to Jake and pulled herself up using his shirt. Some people think this is the greatest thing that ever happened to humanity, Alex said. First contact with aliens. New technology, new knowledge. And other people? Other people think we should be very careful. We do not know what they want. We do not know if they are friendly. Jake picked up his daughter. What do you think? I think any species advanced enough to travel between stars is either very peaceful or very dangerous. And I think we should be prepared for either possibility. Is that what you are building here? Preparations? Alex nodded. Communication equipment. Defense systems. Things that might help if we need them. Jake was quiet for a while. Finally he said, Do you need my help? I thought you were already helping. I mean really helping. Not just cleaning floors. Alex studied his face. What kind of help? You said you need people you can trust. People who can keep secrets. People who know about security. You would be willing to do more than building maintenance? Jake looked at Lily in his arms. If it helps keep her safe, yes. That evening, Alex called Jake into a meeting room on the 15th floor. There were 5 other people there. Jake recognized 2 of them as the men in dark suits who visited Alex's office. Everyone, this is Jake Miller, Alex said. Jake, these people work for various government agencies. We are coordinating humanity's response to the contact. One of the men, who looked like he was in charge, spoke first. Alex says you can be trusted. I can be, Jake said. You have military experience. Yes, sir. 2 tours overseas. Security and logistics. What did you think of the people you worked with? Sir, could they be trusted? Did they work well together? Did they follow orders? Jake thought about his time in the army. Most of them, yes, sir. The good soldiers understood we were all depending on each other. And the bad soldiers? The bad soldiers usually got people hurt. The man nodded. We have a problem, Mr. Miller. We think some people in the government cannot be trusted. Some people who might want to make deals with the aliens for their own benefit. What kind of deals? Another person spoke. Technology, power, money. There are always people willing to sell out their own species if the price is right. Jake felt angry. While everyone else suffers? Exactly, Alex spoke up. We need someone who can help us identify trustworthy people. Someone who understands regular Americans. Someone who can tell the difference between people who care about their families and people who only care about themselves. You want me to judge people? We want you to help us build a network of people we can count on, the first man said. If things go bad, we need to know who will stand with humanity and who will not. Jake looked around the room. How bad could things get? Alex answered. We do not know. Maybe the aliens are peaceful explorers. Maybe they want to be friends. Or maybe they see us the way we see animals in a zoo. Interesting to study but not really equal. And if they see us like animals, then we fight, the man said simply. Jake thought about Lily sleeping in the daycare center Alex had set up for company employees. He thought about all the children in the city below. All the families just trying to live their lives. What do you need me to do? Alex smiled. Help us find good people. People who would fight for their families. People who would not give up even if the odds were bad. How? You know people I do not know, Alex said. You worked regular jobs. You lived in regular neighborhoods. You know what regular Americans are like. Jake understood. You want me to recruit people. We want you to identify people worth recruiting. People who would stand up when it mattered. Jake nodded. I can do that. The meeting ended an hour later. Jake walked back to the daycare to get Lily. She was awake and happy to see him. As they drove home, Jake looked at the people in other cars. Families going home from work. Parents picking up children. Normal people living normal lives. For the first time, Jake understood that normal might be about to end. Somewhere in space, aliens were sending signals to Earth. Some people wanted to welcome them. Some people wanted to use them. And some people were getting ready to fight them if necessary. Jake had chosen his side. He would stand with the people who wanted to protect humanity. He would stand with Alex Brooks, who had helped a stranger in a convenience store. He would stand with anyone who understood that some things were worth fighting for. At home that night, Jake put Lily to bed and sat by her crib. She slept peacefully, not knowing that her world might be about to change forever. Jake made himself a promise. Whatever happened, whatever came from the stars, he would make sure his daughter grew up free, even if it cost him everything. Jake Miller stood in the communications center of Brooks Industries watching screens that showed the world falling apart. In cities where governments had accepted the hierarchy's offer, alien ships were landing. Tall silver figures were walking out, meeting with human officials, beginning what they called the integration process. In other cities, the ones where governments had said no, the alien ships just waited, silent and patient above the skylines like storm clouds that might break at any moment. How many people do we have? Jake asked Alex. Alex looked at her tablet. Direct contacts in 43 states. Maybe 3,000 people total who we can count on. That is not very many. It is enough to start. Jake had been making phone calls for 3 days, calling people he knew from his time in the army, calling neighbors from places he used to live, calling anyone he thought would stand up when it mattered. The conversations were all similar. People were scared. People were confused. But when Jake explained what was really happening, when he told them the truth about the hierarchy's plans, most people got angry. What kind of people are saying yes to this? A man named Bill asked. Bill had been Jake's sergeant overseas. People who think they can make a deal, Jake said. Politicians who think they will get to stay in power. Rich people who think they will keep their money. People who do not understand that slavery is still slavery even when you call it something else. And you are sure about this? The aliens really want to turn us into slaves? Jake looked at the alien ship visible through the window. I am sure. Then count me in. What do you need? Jake had the same conversation dozens of times, with teachers who did not want their students brainwashed, with factory workers who understood what it meant to be used, with parents who would do anything to protect their children. Alex was making different calls, to executives at other companies, to military officers who could be trusted, to government officials who had access to weapons and supplies. "We are building a network," Alex explained to Jake. "People in every major city. People who can organize others. People who can get things done when the time comes. When will that be? Soon. The hierarchy has given the holdout countries 72 hours to reconsider." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "And if they do not reconsider? Then the pacification begins." That evening, Jake put Lily to bed in the small room Alex had set up for them at Brooks Industries. The baby was too young to understand what was happening, but she seemed to sense the tension. She had been fussier than usual, crying more, sleeping less. Jake sat by her crib and thought about his father. What would the old man have said about aliens demanding humanity's surrender? Jake knew the answer. His father would have said, "You fight for your family and you never give up." Alex found him there an hour later. "How is she?" Alex asked. "She knows something is wrong. Babies can sense fear." Alex sat down next to Jake. "Are you afraid?" Jake thought about lying, but Alex had been honest with him about everything. "Yes, I am terrified." "Good, fear keeps you alive. My father used to say that." Alex was quiet for a moment. "Tell me about your father." Jake smiled slightly. "He was a carpenter. Built houses his whole life. He used to say that anything worth building takes time and effort. Anything worth keeping takes sacrifice, and sounds like a wise man. He was. He died when I was 22. Just before I enlisted. What would he think about all this?" Jake looked at Lily sleeping peacefully. "He would say we build something worth keeping or we lose everything worth having." Alex reached over and took Jake's hand. "We are going to build something worth keeping." Jake felt surprised by her touch. Over the past few weeks working together, he had started to feel something for Alex that went beyond gratitude. She was smart and strong and brave. She could have run away when things got dangerous. Instead, she chose to fight. "Alex, why are you doing this? You are rich. You could make a deal with the aliens. You could probably keep most of your money in your company." Alex looked at him with something in her eyes that Jake had not seen before. "Because 3 weeks ago I met a man who spent his last $4 to buy diapers for his daughter. Because I realized I had everything I thought I wanted and nothing that actually mattered." "What do you mean?" "I mean I was successful and miserable and alone. I had employees but no friends. I had money but no purpose. Then I met you and Lily and I remembered what it felt like to care about someone besides myself." Jake felt his heart beating faster. "Alex, I am not doing this just to save humanity, Jake. I am doing this to save the life I want to have." "The life I want to have with you and Lily?" Jake stared at her. "You want to have a life with us?" "If we survive this. If you want that too." Jake squeezed her hand. "I want that too." They sat together in the quiet room, listening to Lily breathe, both knowing that they might not survive the next few days but grateful to have found each other before the world ended. The next morning brought bad news. The deadline had expired. The hierarchy was beginning what they called enforcement actions in cities that had rejected their offer. Jake watched the news reports with growing horror. Alien soldiers were marching through streets in London, Tokyo, and Sydney. They were not killing anyone, but they were taking people from their homes, loading them onto transport ships. The report said the people were being relocated for processing. "It is starting," Alex said. Jake's phone rang. It was Bill, his old Army sergeant. "Jake, you need to see the news from Denver," Bill said. Jake switched to a different news channel. The reporter was standing outside a government building in Denver, where local officials were meeting with alien representatives. "We are receiving reports that the alien delegation has made a new offer to local authorities," the reporter said. "Instead of mass relocation, they are proposing a gradual integration process. Humans who cooperate will be allowed to remain in their homes and continue their normal lives under alien supervision." Jake felt cold. "They are changing tactics." "Making it sound better," Alex agreed. "Easier to accept." Jake's phone rang again. This time it was a woman named Carol who lived in Denver. "Jake, they are saying we can keep our families together if we cooperate," Carol said. "They are saying children can stay with their parents. They are saying nothing has to change except we follow their rules. Do you believe them?" Carol was quiet for a moment. "I want to believe them. Carol, listen to me. If you give up your freedom now, you will never get it back. Your children will grow up as slaves and they will never know they used to be free. But if we fight, people will die. If we do not fight, people will die anyway, just slower, and their children will die as slaves. After Jake hung up, Alex showed him reports from other cities. The pattern was the same everywhere. First, the aliens demanded total surrender. When that was rejected, they offered compromise, easier terms, gradual changes, cooperative transition. They are smart, Alex said. They know humans will accept small losses to avoid big losses. Are people accepting it? Some are. More every hour. Jake felt despair creeping in. Maybe they are right. Maybe it is better to live as slaves than to die as free people. Alex grabbed his shoulders. Do you really believe that? Jake looked through the window at the city below. People were still going about their lives. Going to work, taking children to school, trying to pretend everything was normal. No, Jake said. I do not believe that. Then we keep fighting, even if we are the only ones left? Alex smiled. Especially then. That afternoon, Jake got a call that changed everything. It was a general named Patterson who worked for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Mr. Miller, I understand you have been organizing civilian resistance networks. Yes, sir. We need your help. The military is preparing for guerrilla operations if the government falls. We need people who can coordinate with civilian groups. What kind of operations? The kind that win wars when you are outnumbered and outgunned. Jake looked at Alex. She nodded. What do you need us to do? Jake Miller crouched behind a concrete barrier watching alien soldiers march through the streets of his city. It had been 2 weeks since the hierarchy began their gradual integration process. 2 weeks since half the world's governments had accepted the new terms, but Jake was learning that humans were more complicated than the aliens. Understood. Status report. Jake whispered into his radio. Downtown sector clear, came Bill's voice. They moved the last of the collaborator families to the green zone this morning. The green zone. That was what people called the areas where humans who cooperated with the aliens lived. Nice houses, good food, safe streets. All you had to do was follow the rules and report anyone who did not. Industrial sector has movement, another voice reported. 3 alien patrols heading toward the Brooks building. Jake looked at Alex, who was lying next to him behind the barrier. They know where we are. They have known for days. The question is why they have not attacked yet. Jake understood. The aliens were learning something they had not expected. Humans did not just fight with weapons and armies. They fought with relationships and emotions and stubborn refusal to give up on each other. When the aliens had taken children from families in London, parents from 12 different countries had protested. When they had separated husbands and wives in Tokyo, workers around the world had gone on strike. When they had tried to relocate elderly people to care facilities in Berlin, young people across Europe had formed human chains to block the transports. The aliens had superior technology and superior numbers, but they did not understand the human heart. Jake's radio crackled. Jake, this is Carol in Denver. We need help. Carol was the woman Jake had spoken to weeks ago. She had decided to cooperate with the aliens at first, but yesterday they had come for her 15-year-old son. What is happening, Carol? They are taking the teenagers. All of them. They say it is for advanced education, but parents are not allowed to visit. My neighbor tried to follow the transport and they arrested her. Jake felt his anger building. How many teenagers? All of them in our sector. Maybe 300 kids. Alex grabbed the radio. Carol, this is Alex Brooks. We are going to help you get them back. How? We are just regular people. Jake took the radio back. Carol, how many parents are angry about this? All of them. But what can we do? They have weapons we do not understand. They have weapons, but we have something they do not. What? We care more about our children than we care about staying alive. That night, Jake sat in the communications center at Brooks Industries planning something that would either save hundreds of children or get a lot of good people killed. It is too dangerous, Alex said. The aliens will be expecting some kind of rescue attempt, which is why it might work. They will be expecting soldiers and weapons. They will not be expecting parents and teachers. General Patterson's voice came through the secure line. Explain your plan, Jake. Jake looked at the map on the screen. The aliens are holding the children in a converted school about 20 miles outside Denver. They chose it because it is isolated and easy to defend. That makes it harder to rescue them, not easier. Not if you are not trying to fight your way in. What if you just walk in? Alex stared at him. Walk in? The aliens have been trying to convince humans that cooperation is better than resistance. What if we give them a chance to prove it? Jake explained his idea. Instead of an armed assault, they would organize the parents. All the parents whose children had been taken. They would march to the school together. No weapons. No violence. Just parents demanding to see their children. The aliens will either have to let the parents in or they will have to shoot unarmed civilians, Jake said. If they let them in, we get intelligence about how they are holding the children. If they shoot civilians, we prove to the world that cooperation is just another word for slavery. General Patterson was quiet for a long moment. And if they shoot the parents and keep the children? Jake felt his chest tighten. Then we learn what the aliens really are, and we plan accordingly. It could work, Alex said slowly, but only if the parents are willing to risk everything. Jake picked up the radio. Carol, are you there? I am here. I have a plan to get your children back, but it is dangerous and I need to know if the other parents will trust me. Tell me. Jake explained the plan. Carol was quiet for a long time. You want us to walk up to an alien prison and ask for our children back? I want you to show the aliens what human parents look like when their children are threatened. What if they kill us? Jake looked at Lily sleeping in her portable crib in the corner of the room. What if they do not? The next morning, Carol called back. We have 140 parents ready to march, plus grandparents, teachers, and neighbors. Are you sure they understand the risk? Jake, these aliens took our children. There is no risk we would not take to get them back. 2 days later, Jake watched news coverage of the march on Denver. 140 parents walking down a country road toward the school where their children were being held. They carried no weapons. They wore no uniforms. They were just mothers and fathers who wanted their kids back. The alien guards at the school had been prepared for many things. They had weapons that could stop tanks. They had shields that could deflect missiles. They had sensors that could detect approaching aircraft. They were not prepared for Carol Martinez, a single mother who worked at a grocery store, walking up to their checkpoint and saying, I want to see my son. Jake watched as the alien commander tried to understand what was happening. The aliens had protocols for military attacks. They had procedures for armed resistance. They had no instructions for dealing with unarmed parents who simply refused to leave. Let us see our children, Carol said again. The alien commander spoke in its strange, musical language to other aliens. Then it said, You must return to the integration zone. Your offspring are safe and being educated. We want to see them, said another parent, a man named Rodriguez, whose daughter had been taken 3 days ago. That is not permitted. Why not? Carol asked. If they are safe, why can we not see them? The alien commander looked confused. Jake realized that the aliens had never been questioned like this before. Every other species they had conquered had either fought with weapons or surrendered completely. They had never dealt with people who simply stood their ground and asked questions. Your offspring are being prepared for their role in galactic society, the commander said. What role? Rodriguez asked. The role appropriate to their capabilities. What if we do not want that role for them? The commander was quiet for a moment. That is not relevant. It is relevant to us, Carol said. They are our children. Jake held his breath as he watched the standoff. The aliens could have ended it in seconds. Their weapons could have killed every human in the group without damaging the building behind them. But they did not fire. Instead, the commander made what would turn out to be the first major mistake in the hierarchy's invasion of Earth. You may see your offspring for 5 minutes each. You may not speak to them about integration policies. The parents looked at each other in amazement. Then Carol smiled. Thank you. As Jake watched the parents file into the school, he realized something important had just happened. For the first time since their arrival, the aliens had compromised. They had changed their plans because humans had acted in a way they did not understand. Alex squeezed his hand. It worked. This part worked. Now we have to see if we can get the children out. But Jake was already planning the next step. Because he had learned something about the aliens today, they were logical and efficient and technologically superior. They were also completely unprepared for humans who acted on love instead of logic. Humans who would risk everything for their children. Humans who simply refused to be reasonable when the people they cared about were threatened. The aliens thought they understood humanity because they had studied human Governments and human militaries and human technologies, they had never studied human parents, and that was going to be their downfall. Jake Miller knew the moment everything changed. It was when the hierarchy announced their new policy for educational optimization of human offspring. All children between the ages of 5 and 16 would be relocated to specialized learning centers. They would be separated by aptitude and trained for their future roles in galactic society. Parents could visit once per month under supervision. Jake was holding Lily when he heard the announcement. She was 8 months old now, still too young for the policy. But in a few years, they would come for her too. The announcement broke something inside millions of human parents around the world. The careful cooperation that some had chosen, the gradual acceptance that others had embraced, the hope that maybe things would not be so bad, all of that died in an instant, because the aliens had crossed the one line that human parents would never let anyone cross. They want to take our children, Alex said, reading reports from around the world. Not just educate them differently. Take them. Jake looked at the screens in the communications center. Protests were breaking out in every major city. Not organized resistance movements, but spontaneous explosions of parental fury. Mothers and fathers who had been cooperating with the aliens suddenly found themselves in the streets demanding their children back. This is it, Jake said. This is when we win or lose everything. The phone rang. It was Carol from Denver. Jake, they are coming for all the children tomorrow. Every child in the city. We cannot let this happen. What are the other parents saying? They are ready to fight. All of them. Even the ones who supported the aliens before. Jake looked at Alex. Can you get me a secure line to General Patterson? 5 minutes later, Patterson's voice came through the speaker. Jake, I assume you have seen the announcement? Yes, sir. What is the military's position? Officially, we are still trying to negotiate. Unofficially, we are preparing for war. How long do we have? The president is meeting with alien representatives tonight. If he cannot convince them to change this policy, we go to full resistance tomorrow. Jake made a decision that would change the course of human history. General, we cannot wait for politicians to save our children. What are you suggesting? I am suggesting we show the aliens what happens when they threaten human families. That night, Jake coordinated the largest simultaneous action in human history. Using the network he and Alex had built over the past month, he sent a simple message to resistance cells in 47 countries. Tomorrow at noon, local time, every parent goes to get their children. No matter where the aliens have taken them, no matter how well defended the facilities are, we bring our children home. Alex stared at him. Jake, that is not a military operation. That is a suicide mission. No, Jake said, looking at Lily sleeping in his arms. That is what being human looks like. The next morning, Jake put Lily in her car seat and drove with Alex toward the alien facility outside the city where local children were being held. They were not alone. Thousands of cars filled the highway. Parents, grandparents, teachers, neighbors. Anyone who cared about children was heading toward the same place. Jake's radio crackled with reports from around the world. London reporting. Approximately 50,000 civilians marching on the Children's Center. Tokyo here. Traffic is completely stopped. Parents are walking the last 5 miles. Sydney checking in. The alien guards have requested reinforcements. As they got closer to the facility, Jake could see alien ships in the sky, military transports bringing in more soldiers. The aliens were preparing for a battle. But when Jake crested the hill and saw the facility, he understood that the aliens still did not understand what they were facing. The aliens had set up defensive positions expecting an armed assault. They had energy weapons pointed down the road. They had shields protecting their buildings. They had sensors scanning for military vehicles and weapons. What they saw instead was Carol Martinez walking up the road carrying a sign that said, "Where is my son?" Behind her were thousands of other parents carrying similar signs. No weapons, no armor, just people who wanted their children back. The alien commander who had spoken to Carol 2 weeks earlier stood at the facility's gate. Through a loudspeaker, he announced, "Civilians must disperse immediately. This is a restricted area." Carol walked right up to him. "Our children are inside. We are taking them home." "That is not possible. Return to your homes immediately or face consequences." "What consequences?" asked Rodriguez, who had joined Carol at the front of the crowd. "Are you going to kill us?" The alien commander was silent. "Because if you are going to kill us," Carol continued, "do it now. But we are not leaving without our children. Jake watched as the standoff continued. More parents arrived every minute. The crowd grew larger and larger until there were tens of thousands of people surrounding the facility. Then Jake heard something that made his blood run cold. The sound of alien weapons powering up. All civilians disperse immediately, the commander announced. You have 60 seconds to comply. Nobody moved. 45 seconds. Parents began holding hands. Grandparents stood next to teachers. Neighbors linked arms with people they had never met before. 30 seconds. Jake looked at Alex. Take Lily and get out of here. I am not leaving you. If something happens to me, she needs you. If something happens to you, we all die together. Jake realized she was right. This was not about individual survival anymore. This was about what kind of species humanity wanted to be. 15 seconds. The alien weapons were fully charged now. Jake could see the energy building in their barrels. In a few seconds, they would fire into a crowd of unarmed civilians whose only crime was loving their children. 5 seconds. Carol Martinez stepped forward and looked directly at the alien commander. My son's name is Miguel. He is 13 years old. He likes baseball and mathematics and helping his grandmother with her garden. You took him from me. I want him back. 4 seconds. Rodriguez joined her. My daughter is Elena. She is 16. She wants to be a doctor so she can help people. You took her from me. I want her back. 3 seconds. More parents stepped forward, each one naming their child, each one demanding them back. 2 seconds. The alien commander raised his hand to give the firing order, and then something happened that no one expected. The children inside the facility began calling for their parents. Miguel Martinez pressed his face against a window and shouted, Mama, I am here. Elena Rodriguez appeared at another window. Papa, help us. Hundreds of other children began calling out, reaching through windows trying to get to their families. The alien commander stopped. His hand hung in the air, the firing order unspoken. Jake realized what was happening. The aliens had studied human governments and human armies and human technologies, but they had never truly understood the bond between human parents and their children. They had never seen anything like what they were seeing now. Thousands of adults willing to die for children who were not even their own biological offspring, a species that would rather face extinction than abandon their young. The alien commander lowered his hand. Release the offspring, he said quietly. Jake could not believe what he was hearing. What did he say? The gates of the facility opened. Children began running out, looking for their families. Parents rushed forward, grabbing their kids, holding them like they would never let them go again. Jake's radio exploded with similar reports from around the world. London here. The children are free. Repeat, the children are free. Tokyo reporting. Facility gates are opening. Children are being released to their parents. Sydney confirmed. The aliens are withdrawing. Jake looked at the alien commander who was standing alone as his soldiers began boarding their transports. Why? Jake asked him. The commander looked at Jake for a long moment. Your species is too costly to manage, he said finally. Too unpredictable. Too willing to sacrifice for others. Is that bad? For us, yes. For you? The commander paused. Perhaps it is what makes you worthy of freedom. As the alien ships lifted off and disappeared into the sky, Jake held Alex and Lily close to him. Around them, thousands of families were reuniting. Children were crying with joy. Parents were laughing and crying at the same time. Humanity had won not with superior weapons or brilliant strategy, but with something much simpler and much more powerful. They had won with love. 2 years after the day humans walked up to alien weapons and demanded their children back, Jake Miller stood in the same convenience store where he had met Alexandra Brooks. But this time he was not counting his last few dollars. He was buying ingredients for Lily's second birthday party. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The hierarchy had withdrawn from Earth completely, but before leaving, they had done something unprecedented in their history. They had shared their database of other worlds, other species they had conquered over the millennia. Most species fight us with weapons or surrender immediately, the alien commander had explained to human leaders during the final negotiations. You are the first to resist us with bonds we could not break. We believe other species should know this is possible. Now Earth had become something it had never been before, a beacon of hope for enslaved worlds across the galaxy. Jake pushed his shopping cart through the store, listening to Lily babble happily in the child seat. At 2 years old, she was walking and talking and completely unaware that she had helped save humanity just by being loved. Dada? Cookie? Lily asked, pointing at a display of birthday cake cookies. Maybe after dinner, Jake said, adding the cookies to his cart anyway. His phone rang. It was Alex. Where are you? She asked, getting party supplies. Are the guests starting to arrive? Carol and Miguel are here. Rodriguez brought Elena and her new baby. Bill and his family just pulled up. Jake smiled. The network of people they had built during the resistance had become something more important. They had become family, not related by blood but connected by the shared experience of standing together when it mattered most. I will be home in 10 minutes, Jake said. Home. That was still the best word Jake knew, not the small apartment where he used to live paycheck to paycheck, not even the nice house that Alex had bought for them after the aliens left. Home was wherever he and Alex and Lily were together. As Jake loaded groceries into his truck, he thought about how different his life was now. Alex had transformed Brooks Industries into something new. Instead of building weapons for governments, they now built communication systems for resistance movements on other worlds. Instead of making money from human conflict, they helped species fight for their freedom. Jake had been offered positions in the new global government that formed after the alien withdrawal. Secretary of Defense, Director of Human Resistance Coordination, Ambassador to Liberated Worlds. He had turned them all down. I am not a politician, he had told the president. I am just a father who wanted to protect his daughter. Instead, Jake had chosen to do what felt most natural to him. He helped other people. He coordinated aid shipments to war-torn planets. He trained resistance fighters from dozens of different species. He made sure that parents everywhere knew they were not alone in their fight to protect their children. When Jake got home, their backyard was full of people. Children were playing on the swing set Alex had installed. Adults were talking and laughing around picnic tables. Lily ran to him as soon as she saw him, her little arms reaching up for a hug. Dada home, she announced to everyone. Jake picked her up and spun her around. She giggled the way children do when they are completely happy and completely safe. Happy birthday, princess, Jake said. Alex walked over and kissed him. How was your morning? Perfect. Just like every morning since the day I met you. As the party continued around them, Jake found himself talking to Miguel Martinez. The boy was 15 now, taller and more serious than when the aliens had taken him, but he still helped his mother with her garden, and he still loved baseball and mathematics. Mr. Jake, Miguel said, my teacher wants me to write a report about the liberation. She wants to know what it felt like to be rescued. Jake thought about it. What do you remember about that day? I remember being scared. I remember missing my mama. I remember thinking I would never see home again. And then what happened? Miguel smiled. Then I heard my mama calling my name. I looked out the window and she was there. She had come for me. How did that feel? Like I was human again. Jake nodded. That was exactly right. The aliens had tried to turn humans into something else, something manageable, something predictable. But they had failed because they could not change what made humans human. The love between parents and children. The willingness to sacrifice for others. The refusal to abandon people who needed help. Later that evening, after the guests had gone home and Lily was asleep in her crib, Jake and Alex sat on their porch looking up at the stars. Do you think we will hear from them again? Alex asked. The hierarchy? Maybe, but not as conquerors. How do you know? Jake pointed to a bright star near the horizon. Because yesterday I got a message from the resistance movement on Kepler 442. They used our tactics to free 3 cities from hierarchy control. The aliens withdrew rather than face millions of parents demanding their children back. Alex smiled. Our tactics? Walk up to the enemy. Tell them what you want. Refuse to leave until you get it. That is not a military strategy. No. It is a human strategy. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the night sounds of their neighborhood. Children playing in other yards. Families having dinner together. The ordinary sounds of people living free lives. Jake? Alex said eventually, yes? Do you ever think about that night in the convenience store? When you were counting your last few dollars? Sometimes. Do you think you would do it again? Spend your last money on diapers for Lily? Jake looked through the window at their daughter sleeping peacefully in her room. Every time. even knowing what it led to? The aliens, the war, all of it. Jake thought about everything that had happened. The fear, the danger, the moments when he thought they might all die. Then he thought about Miguel calling for his mother, Elena running to her father, thousands of children reunited with families who loved them, especially knowing what it led to. Alex leaned against his shoulder. I love you, Jake Miller. I love you too. Above them, the stars shone bright and clear. Among those stars, other parents on other worlds were learning that they did not have to accept slavery for their children. They were learning that sometimes the most powerful weapon in the universe was refusing to give up on the people you loved. The story that began with a single father, spending his last dollar on diapers, had become legend across the galaxy, not because of great battles or brilliant strategies, but because it reminded everyone of a simple truth. Love makes people do impossible things. And sometimes, impossible things change everything. In her crib, Lily Miller slept safely, surrounded by the love of two parents who would never let anyone take her away. She dreamed the dreams of free children everywhere, dreams of playgrounds and birthday parties and growing up to be whatever she wanted to be. She was too young to understand that her father's love had helped save not just her, but billions of other children across the stars. But someday she would understand. And someday, when she had children of her own, she would tell them about the night their grandfather met their grandmother in a convenience store and changed the course of galactic history with $4.69. Because that is what humans do. They love their children, they help strangers, they refuse to give up, and sometimes that is enough to save the universe.